Hello, everyone, and welcome to the webinar hosted by NYLC. I'm Danny,
I'm Caitlin.
and we're from Students Today, Leaders Forever, coming at you today from St. Paul, Minnesota. And we're going to tell you a little bit about who we are, what we do, and why we do it. So, a little bit of introductions. My name is Danny Walter. I'm on the program core with STLF. I got involved with this amazing organization in college at the University of North Dakota. And when I graduated, I felt that there was something more in life that I needed to do and give back to this amazing organization. So I've been on staff full time in the Twin Cities for about a year and a half now.
Yep, and my name is Caitlin, and I'm originally from Illinois. I went to Illinois State University and got involved, just like Danny did, on the college Pay It Forward tours through STLF my freshman year. And I have continued to be involved, work with STLF. I have now worked as a full-time staff for about a year and moved up to the Twin Cities last year and have enjoyed every little bit of it. So thanks for joining us today.
We'll start with the agenda, what we'll be going over today.
Yeah, so today we're going to go over a little bit about the history of our organization. Then we're going to break down some of our programs. The core model is our leadership structure that we use for our entire organization. So we'll talk about that a little bit. And then our belief in youth, as well as explain our staff, and then more ways that you can become involved as well.
So we'll start with a brief history of our organization. Students Today, Leaders Forever, or STLF is how we normally refer to it. We are a nonprofit youth leadership organization based out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. We were founded in September of 2003 by 4 college freshmen at the University of Minnesota Twin Cities. These students were sitting around late one night, the first week of school, in their dorm room, wondering how can young people change the world. I think often people of our generation, teenagers, 20-somethings, are sometimes maybe seen as, not being capable enough to do certain things, being maybe a little lazy, unfortunately, and they wanted to figure out how to change these negative stereotypes. So they said, what if we got a bunch of our friends on a tour bus and spent our entire spring break traveling the country, performing community service, performing random acts of kindness. And that's exactly what they did. They recruited 42 of their friends that first year. They hopped on a bus from Minneapolis, Minnesota to Washington, D.C., and they stopped in 5 different cities along the way. Each one of those cities, from South Bend, Indiana to Canton, Ohio, to cities in Pennsylvania, each one of those cities, they performed community service. They met with local citizens, local residents of those communities, and they proved and they showed that young people are capable of so much more, such positive attitudes and influences over the rest of our society. And they had an amazing time. They not only served, they got to see places like Niagara Falls, and they got to spend the evenings and spend the days kind of really getting to know each other and connect and make those positive relationships on a deeper level than we might get on a day-to-day basis, just interacting with each other. So it was really, that first trip in March of 2004 was really a life-altering experience for everyone involved. And when they got back to Minneapolis, they sat down, they took a deep breath, and they said, wow, that was amazing. We're 18 years old or 19 years old. How do we keep this going? And some of those students on that first trip were actually from other universities in North Dakota and Wisconsin and Illinois. And the consensus was, we need to figure out how to grow this program.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So from there, we decided to continue to grow. And as you can see, the second year, we had 2 buses. We had 4 buses on the second year of our organization. And then it continued to grow the third year to over 10 buses as well. And the fourth year continuing to expand all the way until now, where you can see that we are up to 387 programs. This is our complete tours to date. We've done 387 tours, 216,000 hours of community service have been completed, as well as we've had over 15,000 participants on Pay It Forward tours. And this is over only 8 years of our organization being around.
So what started off as a really simple conversation by 4 17, 18, and 19-year-olds in September 2003 has turned into this huge project. We have a full-time staff currently of 7. We'll kind of talk about our staff a little bit later in the program. But it just goes to show that young people are totally capable of making a difference. And what starts off as just a simple idea can grow into something so much more. So moving on, our mission statement. Our mission is to reveal leadership through service, relationships, and action. We spent a lot of time strategically thinking about what we wanted our mission statement to be, what we truly believe, and to reveal leadership through service, relationships, and action. So we're going to explain a little bit about the tour in a second, but through service, we obviously are very passionate about community service and volunteering. Everywhere we go on these tours, we perform a community service project. And we feel it's a really good way not only to give back, but for young people to connect. And when you're volunteering alone, it can be personally satisfying, but when you're volunteering with 40 friends, it's a really, really fun experience. Next is the relationship part. Relationship, we believe so strongly in the ability to make positive connections through young people and through people all over the world. Caitlin and I can tell you, and all 15,000 plus of our students can tell you, that going on a tour is great, seeing new places is so fun, doing a lot of service project is very meaningful, but it's really about the positive relationships and the friendships you make along the way that make these trips worthwhile. And lastly, the action piece. We don't try to set out to change the world. We hope to be the catalyst that inspires young people to follow their dreams, to come back to their community. Whether it's in Minneapolis, Minnesota, it's in Chicago, Illinois, it's in Shelby, Mississippi, we want them to go out into the world to different communities and say, wow, I really enjoyed volunteering at this homeless shelter. I really enjoyed volunteering at this retirement community. And we have these similar issues, we have these similar opportunities back in my hometown. So how can I commit to social action when I get home? So, and I want to point out the reveal part is extremely important as well. We don't believe that by going on our tours, that by participating in our programs, that we create leaders. We truly, truly believe that every single person, every young person out there is already a leader, but they may lack the confidence, the motivation to really recognize that. And so we hope our trips not create leaders, but reveal that leadership within through service, relationships, and action. And our vision statement, something we hope to do every day, is just to energize generations of servant leaders. Again, we believe strongly in volunteerism and really making a positive impact on the world. And we think that by doing that, it's helping out where you can. So our main leadership program, something that we are connected with, if you were to say, what does STLF do? Most people would say the Pay It Forward tour. So if you've ever seen the movie Pay It Forward, if you've ever read the book by Catherine Ryan Hyde, you may know that it's the concept of helping other people out, and instead of them repaying you or paying you back, encouraging them to do good deeds for others, with the ultimate effect that good deeds would grow exponentially, and within a short matter of weeks or months, potentially everyone on the world could experience a positive, a random act of kindness or a service project or something like that. So we host alternative road trips called Pay It Forward tours. We host them for college students, high school students, and middle school students. Each are different lengths, and we'll kind of get into those details in a bit. But on a very high level, we get buses of students together, between 30 and 40 students. Let's just say for the time being 30 or 40 college students. And we'll travel to a new city every day. Some are longer than others, some are shorter. But every day we're in a new city. In the mornings, generally, we will volunteer at a local nonprofit or a local organization that needs help. And we try to focus on a different social issue every day so we can expose students to a wide range of volunteer opportunities. So one day we may be volunteering at a park district, removing weeds and invasive species. The next day we could be volunteering at an animal shelter, playing with puppies and kittens and stuff like that, and giving them the time and energy they need while also helping the staff clean their crates. We volunteer at soup kitchens and food shelves a lot. We volunteer at retirement communities. I mean, the issue of senior citizens not having a lot of visitors is huge, actually, and something that not a lot of people think you can actually do to volunteer. So every day we're in a new community, and every community we try to help out with a different project. We travel during the afternoons via charter bus, and in the evenings we usually stay at places like churches, YMCAs, community centers, basically anywhere that will open the door for us that night to just roll out some sleeping bags and pillows. And in the evening hours, we facilitate a lot of self-reflection, team building activities that are designed to break down barriers between students. A lot of times our trips are extremely diverse in the student population, and so we want to form these extremely meaningful, positive relationships. And again, Caitlin and I can tell you from experience, these evening activities help so much forming positive friendships. I went on my first tour knowing about 3 or 4 people, and I literally came off the bus at the end of it with 42 new best friends because of the activities we do in the evenings. They're very intentional, and they're a great way at getting to know people. And so moving on right now, we'll start talking a little bit about each of our tours, whether it's the college, high school, middle school level, and we'll also focus on the leadership camps that we host as well. So on the next slide, we'll talk about our college tours. This is really our bread and butter. This is how we started in 2003, and we've kind of expanded to high school and middle school programs since. But currently we have about 30 college chapters all around the country. These are official student organizations on college campuses that students lead. They're really self-sustaining. Obviously, we started at the University of Minnesota, but we have college chapters in North Dakota, Wisconsin, Illinois, Ohio, Michigan, Colorado, Oregon, Iowa, and we're heavily concentrated here in the upper Midwest, but we're growing a lot, and hopefully we can figure out today how we can get you all involved as well. So our college tours are all over spring break. They're 9 days long, it seems long, and for as we get older, we don't know how we really did it in college either, but they're 9 days long. They go to 6 different cities via tour bus. So basically, our college chapters have meetings throughout the year. They're entirely responsible for recruiting up to 40 students per bus. Some schools we have will just recruit 1 bus to head out over spring break. Some larger schools we have will recruit anywhere from 3 to 6 buses from their school. So this year alone, we sent out 40 college Pay It Forward tours, and we're growing a lot. Next year, we're going to send between 50 and 55 college tours out. So in communities like Racine, Portland, Oregon, we saw some California. We've been to all of those communities on Pay It Forward tours. And if you ever, around the spring break time of the year, if you ever see large charter buses full of energetic students rolling around wearing STLF shirts and smiling a lot, that's most likely ours. So our college chapters are amazing. We get to work with a lot of incredible college students, and they are really what drives us throughout the year.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then we're going to talk about our next program a little bit, and that would be our high school tour program. Our high school tours are much like the college tours, except they are only 5 days long. They will travel to 4 different cities along the way, and as well as doing the community service project in each city, we will also stop at 2 different universities along the way so that students can have a chance to tour a college and get to see what a college campus looks like. With both of these university visits, we try and make them different. So one will be a large school, maybe a Big Ten type school, and then another school would be a smaller private university, so that students will be able to see the difference between a large campus as well as a small campus so that they can compare and contrast when they're choosing whether or not they want to go to college and if this is a university that they could see themselves at. Like Danny said, these students will travel by bus to each city and then meet up in a large celebration city if there are multiple buses going out at the same time. Our high school program actually stretches a little bit farther than our college program does. So we have some high school tours that leave from New York, as well as the Mississippi Delta, Portland, Oregon, and across the Midwest as well. We have high school tours that leave throughout the entire year. These programs can go out over any break that our students have, and they are 5 days. The high school program is a lot of fun, and it's really awesome because it gives our college students also the opportunity to lead these tours. The high school tours are led by a group of 4 to 6 college leaders, and they are the ones that are planning the service projects as well as facilitating the evening activities. So they are really getting a hands-on leadership experience that they might not otherwise have unless they worked with us. And it's also a really great experience because the college leaders become mentors to the high school students, and they're able to create a really nice bond that maybe the high school students aren't able to with their teachers or their counselors or anything in school. But with these college leaders, they're able to ask them questions about how college actually is and what they can expect when they are in high school or going away to college. So that's pretty much our high school program in a nutshell. Our next program that we have is our middle school tours. So again, they follow the same concept as our college and high school tours, where the students will travel on a bus and they will go to different cities and do community service along the way. With our middle school programs, they are only 3 days, so they're super short, but a lot of fun and super high energy programs. These students have a blast. They do 3 service projects in these 3 days and still visit 2 cities. So it's kind of a jam-packed service trip for them, but it's a lot of fun and they truly get a lot out of it. I just got off of a middle school tour this Saturday, and I cannot begin to express how amazing these students were and how they were able to say that they truly felt like they were changing the world just by visiting a nursing home or hanging out with some elementary school kids at a Boys and Girls Club. They truly felt that they were making an impact, even if it was just for a few hours that day.
And the next program we'll switch to are a little different, and we offer leadership camps throughout the summer for groups of high school students, recent high school graduates, and for the first time this year, middle school students. So not a lot of people know about our leadership camps. Again, when people think STLF, they usually think directly about the Pay It Forward tour, but I myself am the director of our summer leadership camps, and they are amazing experiences where we get students from all around the country, from every different race, religion, background, upbringing. These are just an extremely diverse group of students. We get them all in one place, and it's 6 days. It's hosted on a college campus because, again, we enjoy promoting higher education, but it's 6 days and 5 nights of strict team building, leadership facilitation, a lot of positive relationships, and a lot of self-confidence boosting. So again, these experiences, we usually have between 60 and 70 high school age students per camp, and we'll facilitate things. For example, this summer we have an Olympic themed camp. So we'll do a lot of high energy Olympic style team building programs that are fun, and the students have get a good time out of it, but they're really designed to promote teamwork and things like that. We'll bring in guest speakers every now and then to talk about different issues that youth are facing, whether that's bullying, whether that's LGBTQ issues, things like that really get the students talking. And we give the students an opportunity to share their story as well. I can't tell you how cool it is to have students from very very wealthy suburban communities mingle with students from inner city Chicago who literally have nothing and who have to walk through gang territory every day just to get to school. And at first it's a kind of awkward, segregated population, but within a few hours our program is designed to break down those barriers, and And it's so fulfilling to see at the end of the camp when everyone's leaving and going home, everyone just hugging and staying together and wanting to hang out afterwards. And these meaningful relationships are really what it's all about. So our high school leadership camp, every summer, twice a summer. This year we have one in St. Paul, Minnesota in June, and we have another one in Kenosha, Wisconsin, which is right south of Racine there, for Jessica, in July. So this is open to any student, and I do mean any student, entering grades 9 through 12. Our next camp program is called Gap Camp, and this is an amazing program that's really one of a kind. I've done a lot of research, and there are similar programs, but this particular opportunity is just for students who are graduating from high school. So this year it would be specifically for the high school graduating class of 2012. What we realized a few years back was we offered programs for middle school students, high school students, college students, but there was this gap of students who were in a huge transition in their life and looking for answers and looking for leadership opportunities. And these students were in this, if you all remember this exciting / terrifying time in between high school and college or whatever's next. So we created this camp specifically for recent high school graduates. We call it Gap Camp, and it's a really awesome opportunity for these students to get together to experience hands-on leadership opportunities. We give them leadership challenges where they have to plan a mini Pay It Forward tour, like a service project, get a donated meal, find a place to, like a putt-putt golf course or something that'll basically donate a fun activity or enrichment opportunity for them. And they have a challenge to find all of that within 2 hours. So we give them real hands-on leadership opportunities, but we also create a space to where they can work with our college leaders and ask them real questions. What is college actually like? Am I going to be up every night until 5 o'clock in the morning studying? What are the pressures of drugs and alcohol? How do I get involved? What if I have a terrible roommate? Things that are honestly terrifying concerns for a bunch of 17, 18, and 19-year-olds who are graduating from high school. And we create a very fun, safe, and structured environment to answer all those questions and to form meaningful relationships. So when they go off to college, when they go to the military, when they take a year to travel the world and volunteer, they feel more comfortable as young leaders, as young adults, to get out there and be capable of doing the kind of things that they want to do. And then our next and our last camp opportunity, again, I mentioned, is the first time we've ever done it. So for the past 8 years, we've offered high school leadership camp. For the past 4 years, we've offered a Gap Camp. And we work with middle school students, so I don't know why it took us this long to figure out a middle school camp, but we're doing it. For the first time this year, we'll be hosting a middle school camp for anyone entering grades 6 through 8. It's going to be hosted in northern Minnesota, so we're a little geographically segregated up here, but we're recruiting students from all over. So if you work with middle school students and they're looking for a really cool opportunity to spend 4 days together, we hold it at a retreat center right on a beautiful Minnesota lake, one of our many, over 10,000 of them. And so it's going to be a really cool opportunity for middle school students from all over to get together and to experience leadership through a lot of team building, self-reflection, and leadership activities. So that'll be in August, and we'll tell you how to get involved in any of these opportunities here in a few slides.
Yep. So with that, we just kind of spat out a lot of information at you all about all of our different programs, and we'd really love to take this time now for you to ask any questions that you may have about any of our camps or our tours that you might have. So feel free to type in any question there at the bottom left-hand corner in your chat box, and Danny and I can answer any questions that you may have. Can you give examples of team building activities you do?
Absolutely. So a lot of the team building activities that we do, they vary from high energy activities to very spiritual, self-reflecting activities. So Caitlin, do you want to give an example of a high energy team building activity?
Yep. So one of my favorite high energy activities would be Song Wars. And with this activity, we break the students up into groups. So there'll be about 4 groups, and we give them a word. And the word will be love. And each group will have to come up with as many songs as possible that have the word love in them. And then we'll go around in a circle, and each group will have to sing one of their songs. And then the next group will sing another song that has the word love in it until one of the groups can't think of a song any longer. And so then that group is out. And then we change to the next word. So it'll be blue or something like that. So.
Yeah, it gets very heated, but it's a lot of fun and a lot of energy. Another team building activity we do at some of our camps is known as the newspaper fashion show. So we'll break students up into smaller groups. We'll give them a whole lot of newspaper and then let them be in tape. And then they start to get really creative about it in terms of we'll host a fashion show with a catwalk. We'll play some music and everything like that. And the students are responsible for coming up with the most creative, outlandish, over-the-top garments, actually, just made entirely out of newspaper and tape. So we've had newspaper weddings, we've had newspaper, tuxedos and everything like that, top hats, watches, canes, everything. So it's a great way to get the students working together as a team in a really fun and structured environment. Another question we have is, have there ever been any STLF groups in California? So right now we're still growing on the West Coast. Most of our West Coast operations run out of Portland, Oregon. We have a college chapter at Oregon State University, and we send a few high school tours a year out of Portland as well. We are trying to grow out west. Actually, one of our co-executive directors, who we'll talk about here in a second, Irene Fernando, is from Carson, California, which is in the Los Angeles area. And we recently spoke at 2 student council, state student council benefits where we talked about growing STLF. So while we don't have a huge presence in California or even on the West Coast yet, we do have a strategic plan on growing our organization, and that is definitely where we are focusing. And so we would love, if you like what you hear and you're interested in bringing something like this to California or wherever you're from, we'd love to help make that happen. And we'll talk a little bit about that in the next few slides on how to bring an opportunity like the Pay It Forward Tour to your community. Mm-hmm. And then how can students sign up for leadership camps? Again, at the end, we will go onto our website, but if you're interested, it's www.stlf.net. And we're doing a huge leadership camp promotion right now. So you will see very clearly on the homepage exactly how to find more about our leadership camps and how to sign up as well. The deadlines are approaching. If you're interested in the camp here in St. Paul, Minnesota, we have about another week left where we're actively accepting applications. But if you're interested in the camp, the Chicago area camp in Kenosha, Wisconsin, we still have about another month left. And we can definitely connect with you all individually if you're looking for specific opportunities, and we'll give you that contact information here in a few slides. So,
great. So now we'd like to talk a little bit about our leadership structure and how this translates into leading the programs as well as onto our staff. So we mentioned this a little bit earlier. We work on a core-based model. So this is our leadership structure. Instead of doing the hierarchy of having one person in charge, we truly believe that everybody should have a say in what's going on in the mission, the strategy, accountability, a successful tour, and oversight. So every single person should have a say in all of those and have specific responsibilities around that. So as you can see in our little core model bubbles right here, a lot of times people will fall into certain categories. So there will be one person who is more of a list person or more detail oriented. They're the person that always has a to-do list and always is making check marks next to what they've accomplished for the day. And then there will be somebody who's really into finances and operations and making sure that everything is going smoothly when it comes to finances, as well as maybe getting those statistics down and getting some data analyzed. And then there's also a visionary or a big big picture person. So they're always kind of off in the clouds thinking of how we can really make an impact on the world, or how we can truly make this the best experience, the most awesome thing that we can ever do. And then there will also be a person who is more along the lines of communications and morale. So they're kind of really peppy, trying to get everybody on the same page. Let's work through this. Let's talk this through and make sure that everything is going well. This core model is used on all levels of our leadership. And Danny and I can kind of talk about how, as a staff, we definitely see ourselves in certain aspects of these. I can definitely find myself more in the communications type role and making sure that everybody's having a fun time. And I know one of our coworkers on our core is definitely very detail oriented and making sure that we're all ready to go and have everything marked off on our checklist. And like I mentioned, our core model is used on our staff as well as our college chapters. So each chapter will have a core that oversees their entire chapter. It oversees their all the buses that they have going out, as well as any service opportunities that they do specifically on their campus. And then on our high school and middle school tours, we also have a college core that is putting on the entire program. So they're doing all the facilitation as well as planning the service projects and the housing sites for that trip as well.
And I think really personally working with the core model is something that we promote a lot to different groups and different organizations. It's not the perfect fit for every organization, but if you have a young office culture, if you work with a lot of young people, we have found over the past 8 years that it works perfectly for our needs. Talking about not necessarily having a hierarchy structure, but being able to collaborate to bring your own strengths to the table and work around one common mission. If we can go back to the previous slide really quick, you can see everyone has their own strengths, whether you're really good at lists, whether you're good at morale, whether you're a high energy, big picture type of inspirational person, but you're all accountable for the mission. Who do we report to? We report to our mission statement. We report to the strategy. We report to the product that we're trying to produce. So we give this example a lot to our college students. I mean, you can take this into working in a group project setting. Each person has their own strength, but what are you ultimately trying to do is you're trying to produce that ultimate goal, that product that your company, that your class, that your organization is trying to do. So as young people, we're very energized by this model, and it's something that we're really passionate about, and something that maybe stubbornly we don't plan on changing anytime soon, because that's how we work best, and we see a lot of people of our generation work that way as well. So we'll skip ahead here a few slides. Youth voice. So like I said, we are a youth leadership organization. We have been talking about this for the past 37 minutes. We believe so strongly in the power of young people. And we really want to give young people that voice. So how do we go about doing that? Well, you can see all of our programs are led by cores of college students. These students are 18, 19, anywhere from 18 to 20 years old, basically. And we give the students this awesome responsibility of completely planning these tours, facilitating these tours, troubleshooting, and obviously our national staff here in the Twin Cities does a very in-depth training program, and we support all of our college students in that way. But it is such a phenomenal leadership opportunity for our students to pick up the phone and call a church in Topeka, Kansas, and say, hey, I've got a group of 40 high school students who's taking their winter break to come to your town and volunteer. Would it be possible if you could open the doors for them for one evening so where we can lay out some sleeping bags and pillows? And, they'll call 20 places and 20 places will say no, but the feeling that you get when someone finally says yes is just phenomenal. And it's something that these, it's not an opportunity that can easily be taught to a lot of college students. So we believe so much in young people that we rely almost entirely on college-age students to plan these trips for our organization. We see value in working with all types of youth, regardless of their background. So we fundraise year-round, constantly, to make sure that students can afford to go on these trips. And that's not something we've necessarily mentioned yet, but we will talk about in a little bit is, students actually pay to go on these trips in most cases. For a high school trip, it's generally around $285, and that covers all the transportation. That covers the housing that we get. We cover 2 meals a day. We give students t-shirts out of the deal so they can remember their trip by that. But students actually pay, believe it or not, to volunteer for 5 days. And $285 for a high school tour for 5 days is actually a pretty decent value, but we recognize that that's a lot of money for some people. And so we want to make sure that any student can afford to go on this trip. So we fundraise, we issue scholarships to students who may not be able to go. And to date, in 8 years and over 15,000 students going on these trips, we have never once turned any student away because they said they could not afford the trip. So we see value in working with all youth regardless of their background. We give high school students the opportunity to lead as well. So we mentioned the core model and how we work. College students plan the trips. But specifically for our middle school trips, we have cores of about 2 to 3 high school students who will help lead our middle school tours. Again, they're shorter. They're about 2.5, 3 days. But middle school students actually look up to high school students in their community as people who have been through middle school, as students who know what high school is all about and can give that honest opinion of how to get involved and how to study habits and how to meet your best friends in high school. So we give students anywhere from 13, 14 years old these leadership opportunities. And we really rely in entering new high schools on a core of students to be able to promote the trip to their friends. And we give them that leadership opportunity to say, hey, we can give you the resources and the materials, but we really need you to help us recruit 30 to 40 students to go on this trip. And then again, lastly, the commitment to action. We talked about it earlier in our mission statement, but we want our trips and our leadership experiences to be the catalysts for people to do great things with their lives. So we use the example, we have a group out of Fargo, North Dakota, a group of students who got off their first ever Pay It Forward tour, and they were really inspired when they worked at a soup kitchen or a food shelf, basically. And they said, wow, that was a really cool experience being able to work with families who don't often get to eat 3 meals a day. And you know what? We have those same exact problems in our community in the Fargo-Moorhead area. So what can we do to commit to action when we get home? And those high school students decided they wanted to host the largest food drive in the state of North Dakota. And that's exactly what they did. They looked for donations from local businesses, from grocery stores. And in the first year, they raised over $20,000 and 20,000 pounds of food. The program, if you're interested, is called Fill the Dome. I believe it's fillthedome.org. But this is an annual event around Thanksgiving time where groups of high school students and middle school students from all over the Fargo-Moorhead community get together and raise funds and food for local food shelters in the Red River Valley. And I believe last year, last November 2011, they raised close to 100,000 pounds of food for the relief shelters in the Fargo-Moorhead area. So that's just one of hundreds of examples we can give you about our young people committing to social action after they return from our programs. But it's really cool to be able to see the kind of impact that STLF is, in a tiny way, being able to create all over the country and all over the world after these programs return. We mentioned a little bit about our financial model. Again, students pay to go on the Pay It Forward tour, but we do offer scholarships and everything like that. So a lot of people ask us how we're funded, how we're able to have a full-time staff of 7, how we're able to host about 100 Pay It Forward tours per year. And 2/3 of our entire annual budget, this fiscal year we have a budget very close to $1 million. 2/3 of that revenue come in through Pay It Forward tour or camp costs. We make a small profit on every tour that goes out, and that makes up about 66% of our annual income. The rest, that last third, we rely heavily on just gracious individual donors, corporate grants, any sort of outside funding that we can get. We've had the blessing of getting to know so many amazing people over the year who have believed in our mission and believed in our students, who have given private donations. We work with corporate partners to apply for grants and things like that. And believe it or not, a large chunk of our donations come from young people. Every fall here in the state of Minnesota, there's a one-day kind of donation blitz. And last year we had, I believe it was close to or over 100 young people donating small gifts of about $10 each. People get off these tours and are so impacted by the great work that our students do and the friendships that they make that they want to give back anything that they possibly can. So young people give back, our staff gives back, our board gives back, and we're all about taking whatever resources we have and putting it straight back into the program so that more and more people every year can experience this amazing life-changing opportunity.
So the next thing that we're going to talk about a little bit is our staff structure. Right now, this is our current full-time staff. So we, like we mentioned before, believe in the core model, and that even translate onto our staff level. We have a core of co-executive directors, and that would be Irene Fernando, Josh Reimnitz, and Brian Peterson make up the co-executive directors for our organization. Then we also have 3 program core. That would be Tanya Schmidt, Danny here, and myself, Caitlin. And then we also have our finance and operations core, which is Nick Lindberg, and then Brian Peterson also doubles onto the finance and operations. We do have a few other smaller cores that we do all work on. Myself and Irene and Josh kind of make up the communications core of our office with doing social media, the newsletter, marketing materials, and things like that. The executive directors also work on our development and make sure that all of our donors are getting engaged. And then Irene and Tanya also make sure that our trainings are strong and always up to date and continuously moving. So not only do we have our main cores here, but we also kind of function in a few other cores along the way. We also believe in having some of our students come and work on staff as well. So we have seasonal staff right now. During the spring, we had one of our coworkers, Ellie, on board, and she was doing a spring staff position, so part-time, going to school as well as working in our office. And then in about 2 weeks here, we'll be adding 3 summer staff students onto our staff as well. So we'll have 2 more people jumping on board into our program core, as well as having one of our students working on marketing and development in that sense. Danny, would you like to talk a little bit about our transitions?
Yeah, we have going on with our staff here, we have a really strong transition model. And again, on top of our core model, we preach transitions to other nonprofits, other organizations. Above all else, we are a very clear and transparent organization. We know exactly what's going on at all times. We are not afraid to, tell other people how our organization is functioning, things like that. So when we talk about transitions, we're extremely clear and transparent about that as well. For example, you can see one of our co-executive directors and members of our financial and operations team, Brian Peterson. He'll actually be transitioning off of full-time staff within the next 2 months here. But we actually knew that about a year ago. Brian felt the time was right and for a new experience, and he definitely wanted to give someone else that huge opportunity of being a co-executive director in a young, exciting nonprofit. So, about a year in advance, we kind of activate our transition model. And so we don't really have any 2 weeks notice, any sort of surprise, I'm out of here type thing. We believe very strongly in a solid transition model. For executive directors, they generally have a career in STLF of anywhere between 6 and 8 years. 7 is usually the norm. For our program core, it can be anywhere from 2 to 4 years. And finance and operation is generally around anywhere from 4 to 6 years. And a lot of people ask, so wait, is this an organization where you turn 28 and you're automatically booted out? And that's absolutely not the case whatsoever. We believe so strongly in our mission that when we think it's time for the next step for us personally, when Caitlin and I no longer can physically travel on pay it forward tours for weeks at a time and sleep on gym floors, and we don't understand the new Justin Bieber song as a hit anymore. When we're not relating to our students anymore, we happily transition ourselves out so we can get a young, energetic new staff person in there who can relate to young people maybe better than we can. So we have a no surprises culture, and we really enjoy that, and we celebrate transition as well. I mean, while we're sad to see Brian leave our office here in a few months, we celebrate the transition of our new executive director, Guff, coming in, and we see it as a time to celebrate all the amazing work that staff person has done over the years, and as a time to celebrate the new hiring of a new person. And we emphasize this transition model in our cores as well. So when our college students graduate, we look for that transition where they can train a younger college student in to replace them in their roles. And then you can see on the next slide here our staff. This is a lovely picture taken last summer of our staff and some of our summer staff as well. Again, we're a young office. We're very energetic. We're fun. We have an extremely unique office culture, and the fact that I usually refer to Caitlin and the rest of our staff when I introduce themselves. I say, this is my friend and coworker, Caitlin Plaza, because we're all really great friends. And we value each other's personal relationships very, very much. And you can see that in some of the things we do, whether it's starting our staff meetings, things like that.
Yeah, so something that's really interesting about our culture and something that I highly value is that we really try and make sure that we know what's going on in each other's lives as well. So every staff meeting, we also do something called our personal updates, or our PUs, so that we can kind of know what's going on in everyone's lives and make sure that there's nothing super pressing that is making them down in the dumps for that day. And we want to make sure that everyone is still able to do all of their work, because there are only 7 of us right now, and we have a lot going on, and we have a lot of trips going on, a lot of moving parts, and we just want to make sure that everybody is okay personally, and making sure that there isn't anything that we're doing wrong as well. So we do personal updates. We do it in the form of something that you did this past week, something that you learned this past week, and something that's new in your life. And then we also give the time for open space. So if there is anything going on in the office that you'd like to just get off your chest, we have time for open space in our meetings as well. So we really try and make it a very open environment and make sure that everybody is still able to get their work done. And if there is something going on in their lives, maybe we can step up and help and make sure that everything is still getting done.
All right. Well, we will take the last few minutes here, and again, thank you so much for taking the time to tune in today to let you know how to get involved with us.
Yep, so the first thing that we'll do is take you right to our website here, and like Danny said earlier in the presentation, that's www.stlf.net. So this will be the main screen that you see when you get to our website. The easiest way to find a program that's near you is to just type your zip code into the enter a zip code box there and click find a tour, and that'll take you directly to any tours that might be in your area at this time. Another interesting thing to do is to click on the find a chapter section, and this will have a list of all of the different chapters that we have currently on our college level. So if you know of any college students, if you work with any college students, and they may go to one of these universities, then this is already an existing organization that they can become a part of. If you're ever interested in starting a Pay It Forward tour on any type of level, all you have to do is click on the top button. It says Demand It right there, and that is just a nice Google form where you can fill out your name, email, and where you're from, where you want to start the tour, and we will be in touch with you shortly on how we can get that going. I know it says that to have at least 10 students from your school, but just go ahead and fill that out even if you don't, and we will definitely be in touch with you. But that's just our website there. Another great way that you can connect with us is through Facebook. So you can like our page, and that's just Students Today Leaders Forever. You can go to facebook.com/Students Today Leaders Forever, and that'll take you directly to our Facebook page. And then we also have a Twitter that we work and update, and that's just our handle there is at STLF.net. The dot is spelled out. And then also, if you're ever talking about STLF or ever want to see how students are on a program, you can just look up the hashtag STLF. And a lot of times it's really neat during tour seasons to see all the different service projects that students are working on. And they'll just hashtag STLF, and you can see an entire timeline of students on tour in real time.
And then next, we'll just talk about a few of our upcoming programs. Like Caitlin said, we host Pay It Forward tours and leadership camps all throughout the year, no matter whether it's summer, spring, winter, fall. Just next week, next Monday, we've got a new exciting program we're doing out of Denver, Colorado, partnering with the KIPP schools there in Denver. If many of you may know about the KIPP schools, but we're sending 4 Pay It Forward tours out of Denver. 2 of them will go to Salt Lake City, and the other 2 will kind of wind their way down to southern Colorado. But those are coming up next week. We also are sending a lot out of the Twin Cities area, June 19th through the 23rd. Some are heading down to St. Louis, Missouri. Others are heading to the Chicago area. Also, those dates, we partner with an amazing few schools down in the Mississippi Delta, where we'll be sending 2 tours out of Leland, Mississippi. We've got a tour out of Portland, Oregon coming up. Again, when you go to our website, if you're looking to see if anything is near you, you can type in your zip code and see what's out there. Again, we have our high school leadership camps and GAP camps this summer. The first one is actually at Hamline University in St. Paul, Minnesota, June 24th to the 29th. The second one is at the University of Wisconsin Parkside in Kenosha, Wisconsin, July 22nd through the 27th. We have students literally coming in from all over the country to those, so if you're interested in seeing how we can get a few of your students up here to the Midwest, we'd love to make that happen. And again, our first annual middle school leadership camp will be near Fergus Falls, Minnesota, August 9th through the 12th. So again, to view any more upcoming events, you can visit our website at www.stlf.net and learn more.
And we just wanted to say thank you so much for tuning in and learning a little bit about our organization. If you have any questions at all about the presentation, feel free to email myself or Danny, and it's just our names right there at stlf.net. And if there were anything that we didn't go over, or if you want to get involved, feel free to shoot us an email and we'll get right back to you. So thank you.
Thank you very much.